Hi, it's Due, and this is going to be another haul video with, I guess, an announcement of 2 more books that are sliding onto my now kind of hectic TBR. And sort of like, this is a side note, a thought of maybe I don't do weekly TBRs, or maybe I don't care and I just make some plans and know that they can shift and change. The first is The Bone People by Carrie Hulme. This book is maybe the longest standing book on my bookshelf. I hauled this book at a thrift shop in maybe November, and I was really, really excited to read it when I grabbed it. For a lot of reasons, but probably the most notable was that on the very front, the person who wrote the promotional blurb is Alice Walker. And she said about this book is just amazingly, wondrously great. I don't think I need any more than that endorsement for this book. This book fits really wonderfully in my prize-winning TBR because it was the winner of the Booker Prize. And the reason I haven't read it, and I didn't know this, because this was right at the beginning of my hauling days, it was because of this font. And this font is not only small, which is less of a problem than it is kind of like that dark color that, for whatever reason, gives me headaches, like identifiable from the reading of The Green House that I just couldn't even get through. So I have kept this aside looking for a different edition, either in a physical one, in a library, a thrift shop, a little free library that wasn't this small little paperback edition, hoping that would handle the font. And I also looked for it digitally and audioly. I couldn't find a digital version from my libraries on Libby. I was able to find audio, and I actually had it on hold for several weeks, for a long time. And it just came off hold right in time for the books that won awards, reading challenge. So I will be listening to this book sometime soon, in the next weekish. And I'm so excited to have access to this book. I am just really accepting this challenge that I know, as I said before, I don't listen with the same skill set that I read. And as far as critical analysis, of being able to pay attention to nuances and details. And so I'm just going to give it my whole heart that this listening experience will afford me to really love this book the way that Alice Walker did. So the other book that's on the TBR for upcoming, and in fact, I've already started it, so there's that, is a recent haul. And this is where I will bridge this video, which is a haul video, from just this announcement of the 2 things added to TBR to haul, because this is a recent haul. And that's Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Yosef Salam. So Ibi Zoboi and Yosef Salam are the authors of this fantastic work of verse, which reads like a novel. I mean, it develops a story. I am absolutely encaptured. I mean, just full into this book. I am on part 2, and I love this book. I hauled this book because I saw that it was poetry. I didn't know it was how it was gonna be as it is. And I hauled this not because it's Poetry Month, because it is. And why I started reading it even after the haul, but because I have a good friend and colleague who is a published poet, and poetry is her medium. And it called to me, and I said, oh, this person would love this book. So even if I weren't going to read it, I would have hauled it for her. I want to just read what Ibram X. Kendi says on the back of this book, because it summarizes the experience that I'm having with this book very eloquently. Punching in the Air is a profound sound of humanity in verse, about a boy who uses his creative mind to overcome the creativity of racism, about a boy who uses the freedom of art to overcome his incarceration, about you, about me, utterly indispensable. Love this book. Yeah, it bumped the queue. It's poetry. I thought of poetry, so I'd read a little bit here, a little bit there until I gave it to her. But I'm in it, and I'm probably in it till it's done. And so glad that I hauled it. This came from a thrift shop, from the Goodwill, actually, in a neighboring town. I know my just recently posted, because I forgot to post it, video included another Goodwill from another town, because I live in a city, and there are reasons to go to the suburbs of the city, and there usually are thrift shops. And now I'm just curious. I'm curious about the thrift, and I just told myself to not be very limited in this one, because I keep telling myself to be limited and then feeling some kind of weird self-imposed disappointment that I couldn't be as limited as I wanted. So I spent a lot of time looking at books, looking at editions. They had a lot of books, and it was very much a rummage. It wasn't very organized. It had like, it was supposed to be organized in the last name of author, but it really wasn't. And, you know, there's something joyful about the real thrift of that. So that book was hauled. It was actually one of my last found books, and this was when I had just given myself permission to just peruse the shelf, and then again, and take whatever I really felt compelled to take. So another thing that I hauled, and this is going to be on one of my displays, because I love this cover. And in fact, in talking about this cover with a friend, we spent like maybe 5 or 10 minutes discussing what we loved about this cover. We see this as the evil eye, with a city around it, and then really appreciated the font and the way it goes around the eye as well. And the use of the white and gold and blues in this cover. This is called Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghost. And I would have hauled this book, and did in fact haul this book, mostly based on the cover. I'm not opposed to just, you know, having a beautiful book on my shelf and giving it a chance without knowing that much about it, especially now that I'm that I'm kind of showcasing books. Like, I've set up my bookshelf to have some showcased. Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghosts was also a compelling title, and it kind of gave me a maybe fantasy, maybe magic realism. And I haven't looked it up, so I just have to say what it says here is a deliciously funny ode to imagination, overflowing with love letters to art, from the Resting Gone to Madonna to the Knights of the Round Table. Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghost is the perfect read for thrill seekers, wanderers, word lovers, and anyone looking for escape to the extraordinary. Feeling pretty good about that premise, and about the choice to haul this book. The next book also came from the same Goodwill, and I was compelled by the similarities between these two covers. And in fact, in that conversation I recently had with a friend, we compared and contrasted and talked about the use of the blue and the eye. And although we didn't see this as an evil eye, the symbol, we saw this as an eye, like more of an, you know, the iris, the eye. But we noted that the eye was in the center, that something was inside, that a human was inside of the eye, and that both of these books were using gold, blue, and white as their color schemes. Anna Quindlen was definitely a writer of note, I believe, in the 90s, and I'm familiar with her work, although I don't have a lot of strong memories about what specifically I've read, and also about her writing style or her craft. So I was really excited to haul this book, published in 1998, which obviously was an Oprah's Book Club selection. And to be honest, that might have helped me choose this book, or the similarity to these. Like, I spent a long time thrifting, okay, and I took out books and I thought about them for quite a while, even with and without reading the synopses. So the how these two are so similar in cover makes me kind of want to read them together, because I feel like they're very, very different books. Yet the covers are so similar, and that means something to me. It says here, Black and Blue is a beautifully written, heart-stopping story in which Anna Quindlen writes with power, wisdom, and humor about real lives of men and women, the varieties of people and love, the bonds between mother and child, the solace, family, and friendship, the inexplicable feelings between people who are passionately connected in ways they don't understand. In this remarkable work of fiction by the writer whom Alice Hoffman called a national treasure. I think this is going to address domestic violence. I think that's what Black and Blue is alluding to, but we shall see. We shall see. It's now on my shelf, and again, I feel like I'm going to read it in the same reading challenge as this, and I don't even know what that is. Maybe I just put them both on my shelf together and say these are being read one right after the other. Yeah, both have fonts that I can read for sure. The next one also comes from the same Goodwill, and that's Tuesday Nights. You see, Tuesday. I'm sorry, my mind likes to find connections, doesn't yours? Tuesday. So Tuesday Nights in 1980 by Molly Prentice. First was compelled by the cover. Loved this sort of rainbow isms. Realized that I had a book with Tuesday and another book with Tuesday. I like those kinds of connections. And then finally, what drew me is that this is set in Soho in the 1980s in New York. So I think this will be it. I think this is maybe the final book I needed to round out my books where New York is the setting, that I'm going to read before, during, or after my trip next month to New York. So that's why I hold this. I think also, like this one, both of these are exploring art, right? The art is part of the exploration. And books about the 80s, okay, I'm here for it. So I already know kind of which TBR to make a label for this one. Ooh. Super excited. This was actually the first book I found and decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy books from this Goodwill, and that is Little and Lion. Little and Lion follows, I believe, siblings. One is by I think one is bisexual and one has mental health issues. Yeah. I think that this should go soon. I think it's April's Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm tempted to just kind of throw it on my current TBR because it's so hectic. Why not? So I might do that. I might actually do that right now. Because it looks like this current TBR is going to take me all the way through the month of April. Anyway, Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. super excited. Maybe going on my current TBR. So since I had already gone all in, I just decided to grab The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides. I, as many and many other people, read and loved Middlesex. It says here winner of the Pulitzer Prize, and I think that marketing is a little misleading. This author is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize, not this book. But I could be wrong. I believe it was Middlesex, right? I grabbed this and hauled this book because I know this author. I've only read one thing of his, and I want to give another one a chance. So I can see this coming up because every once in a while I do an authors I've read before, TBR, just to kind of remember. I think sometimes I actually disregard authors I've read before on some of my TBR challenges. It's like, oh, I've already read from that person. I should read another author. So that's where I see this coming at some point. And I can see this being one of my summer reads for whatever reason. Speaking of authors that I've read before, and the most exciting book for me in this thrift store haul is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I loved Come and Get It. Loved. I don't know. Two loves. I don't know. I really liked. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still talking about it. I have been aware that more people liked Such a Fun Age than Come and Get It. And since I read Come and Get It, I have been looking for anywhere, any thrift store, any library, any little free library, this exact book. And I found it interesting, actually looking for the physical copy in libraries and haven't seen it so far, checked out or not there. I've only seen it at a bookstore new, and I'm not buying new books. So where I would love to have, I'm really deferring right now to hardback. It's funny, I went from being totally a paperback woman to now preferring hardbacks for a lot of reasons. One is the font. But I was so excited to find this book in this little beat up paperback version, because this is a book that I've been looking for a while. It will fit in, because it did win the Booker Prize, so it would fit in my current TBR. However, I was careful to just pick one per prize, because I have several books per prize, or several books that have won prize. So I honestly think that I'll wait around for this. This will come back for sure as something that I'll read. Probably, again, I'm seeing this in the summer. I'm seeing this as a summer read, and maybe in the same sort of like TBR as like authors that I'm familiar with. That feels right. The last two books I'm going to talk about came from Little Free Libraries. My experience at Little Free Libraries is so interesting. Some days I'm like, yes, I'm just excited to grab any book from there. And some days I'm so discerning, and I just either put a book in and walk away and say, it just needs to unhaul. And some days I'm like, I'm going to take a book. I don't care what it is. Like, my dedication is to being curious. And in any case, Little Free Library, number one, is one that surprises me every time I go, because sometimes it's just nothing. And then I go and like, woo, like it's got something really amazing. She Is Haunting is a YA, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this young adult book. I have now sort of degraded my YA shelf to be quite small, and I think this will take the final spot, and then I'll be, I believe, more discerning about what goes on YA. But this was published in 2023. And the setting is Vietnam. I believe I'm going to Vietnam this summer. Yeah, I haven't 100% decided, but I think I will be spending some time in Vietnam this summer. I have stayed in Vietnam now 7 years ago, I think, all summer. And I'm excited for my return. And so if I haven't got to this book by then, I think I'll actually take this physical copy with me there. Okay, the last one was like another one of those. Maybe I shouldn't take this. I am not a romance gal. You hear me say it in all of my videos. And yet, here it is. And you know, I'm maybe sorry for this, maybe I'm not, but sometimes the hype does get you, and I'll keep a check on it that I'm not just reading what's the hype. But let's all admit that Abby Jimenez's books, and especially Say You'll Remember Me or the one about summer, are all the hype. And so here I have a copy. This is a page turning cute little romance. So I think very recent, 2025. So here's what I think about this book. I think that I'm going to read it very soon, and it shan't take me long, so that I can get it back out on to into little free libraries, because this is a hyped up, popular, recent book that I shouldn't just let sit on my shelf and not read because I'm not really a romance woman. So yeah, my commitment is to read or unhaul this. And in fact, oh my gosh, yes, I'm just going to put it in my current TBR and realize that it's so hectic. But if I don't read it in this next couple of weeks when these books are up, then I'm going to just put it back into a little free library so that someone else has the opportunity to grab it. Like this book, which I just read, kind of bumped up on my TBR. Well, not really. It was actually kind of when I said I was going to super quick read. I'll review it in the next review, or maybe I'll just say some words now so I can actually get it out in my next little free library excursion. Your standard thriller had some twists. She did twists right. Little holes in plot, but you know, they can happen, but mostly tidied up. Turning paced very quickly. I can see why this book is very popular. It's very accessible to almost any kind of reader, and especially people who like thrillers. So, like thrillers a good just quick read for me, and I was mostly entertained, and that's what I have to say. Like, people who like thrillers will like this book. So yay, there's my review, and I'll just go ahead and put that in the unhaul pile because my TBR is just out of control now, and I'm just gonna have to say how excited I am about that. So yay.